Welcome to the Rusted Garden Homestead. Today I'm going to show you the right way to harvest basil so that you get a bushier plant and you get a prolonged production of leaves and stop those flowers from coming. When the flowers come, the flavor changes. The plant goes into seed production, into flower production. So you want to continually remove the bigger grouping of leaves. That's typically where the flower comes first, and then the energy goes into side shoots and you get a nice bushy plant. This one's been growing here for 6 weeks. I've been harvesting it. In a second we'll go over to another plant that has not been harvested at all, and I'll show you clearly how to remove the leaves. But what you want to do first of all is look for the biggest clumps of leaves, and you get right into there and you can see that I've already harvested the original big grouping of leaves from here, and you can see that right there. Now from the side, the next clump that's ready is this one, and I'm just going to cut that off. And by cutting it down, by taking the bigger leaves, the plant gets bushier and bushier and it grows side shoots. For here's a good example. About 10 days ago I took the main stem off of here, and then these two grew, so I'm going to take these two. And I would continue to do that, removing the bigger bunches of leaves, and that will keep this plant from flowering and losing the flavor in the leaves. Now, it's a little bit confusing looking at a plant that's been maintained, so let me go over to a brand new plant and I'll show you how to do it. So we're getting into the 4th week of July. It's been hot, it's 100 degrees this week, 90 all last week. You want to water your basil more often than you think. If it dries out, the leaves dry out, the flavor concentrates, sometimes it gets bitter, it just doesn't taste good. Continued even waterings really create these nice green leaves even in hot weather. And this is in a 5-gallon pot, so you don't need a lot of earth, but you need to maintain the water. So this plant has not been cut, so I look into here, see a stem coming up, the big clump is right here. I'm going to cut this out. Now these side shoots will grow smaller than this, and you can see in here what the plant does. Stem comes up, side shoots, and in theory I could have cut it right here, so we're going to take that. So we look at this one. Let's just put it in a way that's easier to see. The stem is coming up, side shoots. I'm going to take this whole part out. This stem is starting to get a little bit woody. It's getting ready to flower. I want to remove it out, use the leaves. Just a quick tip, basil will lose leaf pressure. I mean, basically it'll go limp really quickly. As soon as you cut it, that was only maybe 5 minutes in the sun, it's going to lose water pressure. So cut it quickly and then get it into the house, put it in a cup of cold water, and it'll set fine just like this until you're ready to use it in the evening or that day. But you want to really get it into a cup of water quickly, or it's going to lose all the leaf pressure and you're just going to have limp basil. And that's how I harvest my basil, and it keeps it going for a very long time. So I've taken out a lot of the bigger bunches of leaves, and I'm going to walk away with this, and that's plenty of basil for the salad that I'm going to be making, the tomato cucumber salad. And that's all you do. As these get bigger and sprout out, you cut them back, and you just keep pushing the plant back down so it gets more side growth. I know it's a little confusing, but I hope the examples help you out. You don't want to just come in and like cut here or break this off. This way the plant will produce longer, you'll produce more leaves, and you'll get less flowers. So one more time, because it's a little bit confusing, but the principle is really important. This is a single plant, and before we get to pruning this one more time, don't buy the transplants. They're like $4. You're usually getting a plant that's stressed out, it's starting to flower. Plant them from seed. A pack of seed costs you $2. It'll have hundreds of seeds in there, and you can use them throughout the season. I plant basil about every 3 weeks, and then my supply continues, you know, until the frost comes. So it's one stem coming up, and you can see how the main stem is getting thicker, the side shoots are thinner, the clusters of flowers, of leaves are smaller, and as you get to the top, that's what you want to take. And you could take it right here, you could take it down here. We're going to cut right in between these side shoots and take that. Now this plant will bush out, it'll flower much more slowly, and you'll continue to be able to get the leaves. And this is what we're going to use for lunch preparation today. That was my second planting. Here's my third planting of basil. So again, keep putting the seeds in the ground every 3 weeks, and you'll get a continuous supply of basil through the season. And it only costs you $2 for a pack of seeds. All right, before I get to feeding, because I know this can be confusing, one more quick look and a close-up. You can see this main stalk for this plant's coming up here, and I've cut off the basil right there. The side shoots are going to come out. Come over to this plant, you can see right in there, that's what I originally cut, and the side shoots are taking off. If you come over to this one, you can see down in there, let's move that out of the way, pick it right by my finger, that was cut out, and these two have grown to nice size. And I would cut these down if I needed more right now, probably cut those tomorrow. Now, when you're growing basil, again, the key is moisture. Water it more often than you think. If it just dries out 1 or 2 times, the soil dries out, the plant's gonna yellow, the flavor's gonna change. That stress also helps speed up flowering. The plant thinks it's dying, it wants to flower. You wanna keep this nice and healthy, keep the leaves growing, keep the flower production down, and you can harvest basil longer. Now would be the time to also plant more seeds. You can't stop the flowers from eventually coming or the flavors changing. So the plants are going to change, but you can prolong it. And right now, towards the end of July, go ahead and drop more seeds in the ground wherever you want. I use a fish emulsion, harvest first, and then just soak it in at least every 3 weeks with a nice water-soluble fertilizer, and just soak it in. We're growing this for leaves, so the fish emulsion has a nice 5% nitrogen. That's what we want for leaf growth. And this is how I keep my basil going really for the entire season. Harvest it this way, keep it watered well, fertilize it, every 3 weeks or so with a water-soluble fish emulsion or organic fertilizer. But most importantly, towards the end of July, plant some more seed now. Hope you enjoyed the video. Gives you some idea how to harvest and maintain production of your basil plants. Please check out my seed shop at therustedgarden.com.